There have been plenty of disastrous, high-profile AAA video game launches, but Warcraft 3 Reforged definitely stands up there as among the most disappointing and egregious, especially given the fond memories people have of this game. Everything that could have gone wrong with this so-called remaster did go wrong, and so, the critic score on Metacritic is pretty middling, the user score is at an all-time low. To make matters worse, Blizzard issued this sort of half-assed non-apology that doesn't really take accountability. Now, Blizzard did at the very least finally, after backlash and pressure, start to issue auto refunds, whereas before they would deny refunds for people who engaged with Warcraft 3 Reforged for a couple hours. Now they're saying, okay, anyone who wants a refund, just submit your ticket and you'll get refunded, and based on reports that I've seen, that's been working out. And then another interesting new development is that Blizzard finally took out the false marketing that was on their website. I've talked about this in previous videos. This is what that looked like. It featured this video, the Calling Campaign trailer, which contains the BlizzCon cutscene that looks a lot more cinematic and graphically enhanced compared to what we got in the final game. That was the marketing material used both before and after launch, and now checking back on the website today, that trailer is finally gone and replaced with footage that is more representative of the final product. Why this wasn't done before launch, it's hard to say. It's just, I don't know if somebody just isn't keeping track of the website or if they just engaged in willful false marketing. Regardless of the reasoning, there is no doubt that false marketing definitely took place here, and the fact that Blizzard provided no warnings whatsoever about the downgrades, that's pretty scummy. That's no way to sell any product. That's no way for a company to behave. With all that out of the way, let's talk about the latest development of this whole Warcraft 3 Reforged debacle. J. Allen Brack, the president of Blizzard himself, has acknowledged this entire issue and has provided an actual statement. Now, do keep in mind that this response right here was essentially from the entire Warcraft 3 Reforged team. Frankly, it reads like a lawyer wrote it, but this wasn't specifically from any one individual, whereas this latest statement did come from J. Allen Brack himself during a financial briefing, I believe it was. And so here's what he had to say on this whole debacle during Activision's Q4 investors call today. He said, "Concerning Warcraft 3 Reforged, honestly, it's been a bit of a hard week. Our community has come to expect really amazing things from us, and we have heard from them that we did not achieve that bar." He acts like this is some kind of big surprise, like, oh no, we've heard from them, but who could have foreseen this? You guys must have known, though. You guys must have known that the cutscenes were downgraded and you didn't inform anyone about that. You must have known that all the features you were taking away from the original game, and then the way you took the classic Warcraft 3 and melded it into Reforged and had the original complete experience inherit all of the issues of Reforged, you must have known that this wouldn't be well received. And if you didn't, you're incredibly short-sighted and incredibly just blind to reality. It shouldn't take community backlash for you, Blizzard, to realize that you didn't meet a bar that you yourself set by presenting the material that you did at BlizzCon 2018 and beyond. That was the expectation you set for us, and so it should come as no surprise that when you just strip so much from the original game and dial back so much of the promises and release such an unfinished and broken product, yeah, there's gonna be backlash. It's been a bit of a hard week, he says. I'm sure it sucks to be a Blizzard developer right now, especially for those who did work on Warcraft 3 Reforged and genuinely wanted to make this project work, really wanted to make it magical and put their all in it. But the ones who made this hard for you, Blizzard, were you, or at the very least the decision makers who decided, yeah, let's just push this out there, even though it clearly isn't in a state to do so. So with all due respect, it's hard for me to give any sympathy, especially for the CEO who does have some influence in regards to when a game comes out, surely J. Allen Brack has some pull when it comes to delaying a game like Warcraft 3 Reforged. But the fact that the decision makers didn't come to the conclusion of, yeah, this needs more time to fully realize the vision that was marketed, the fact that the higher-ups didn't come to that conclusion and just decided to pull a AAA game maneuver, a traditional move, which is to release a half-baked game with this notion of, well, in the long term, we'll fix it eventually. It's a live service, so we'll eventually get there. I mean, that whole mentality is so poisonous. Live service and long-term support have become these crutches and excuses for game companies to pull crap like this. Moving on, this was followed up with an additional quote that reads as follows: "But we stand behind our games and have consistently shown that not only do we support them, but we continue to build on them even after launch. And we're committed to doing that here as well. We're going to continue to update the game, and we're going to continue to update the community with our plans going forward." This is very reminiscent to what Todd Howard said about Fallout 76 during that interview with IGN. When asked about that whole situation, Todd Howard basically responded with, well, it's not how a game launches, it's what it eventually becomes.
All of the games like this, whether it's us or somebody else, you can go back and look at them. There's a period once you launch. It's not how you launch, it's what it becomes. Right, yeah, I won't go through the list, but you could take most popular online games and go back to day zero, and they're going to go through their problems. And you're seeing that kind of across the industry.
To which I say, no, it's both about how a game launches and how it becomes. It's not either or. You can do both at the same time. You can't just use the fact that in the long term, the game will eventually get there as an excuse to justify releasing a product that isn't what was advertised, isn't at a level that it should be for paying customers. And this all sort of harkens back to the apology that Blizzard's CEO gave back in BlizzCon 2019 in response to the whole Blitzchung situation. His words back then felt pretty empty at the time, and now they seem even more hypocritical. Check this out.
You know, Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment about a month ago, and we did not. We moved too quickly in our decision-making, and then, to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk with all of you.
They moved too quickly with their decision-making, and they moved too slow when it comes to talking to the community. That seems pretty reminiscent of Warcraft 3 Reforged, doesn't it? They just rushed the game out, and then they took a while to respond to the community, and even before the game came out, they didn't properly tell us that a lot of things would be scaled back. J. Allen Brack said, you know, yeah, we acknowledge this, and we're going to do better from here, but they're repeating the same mistakes.
When I think about what I'm most unhappy about, there's really two things. The first one is we didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves.
The high standards that they set for themselves. Warcraft 3 Reforged, no company, no publisher with high standards would look at that product and release it in that state and give the excuse of, well, long-term support. No company who cares would have that sort of mentality and would try to dupe customers the way Warcraft 3 Reforged did.
And the second is we failed in our purpose. And for that, I am sorry, and I accept accountability.
Recall that J. Allen Brack during this entire speech never specifically mentioned Blitzchung or the Grandmasters Tournament or Hong Kong. He just kind of labeled it as a tough Hearthstone esports moment, and then he vaguely said, I apologize and take accountability. That kind of apology is about as empty as just saying, we're sorry to those of you who didn't have the experience you wanted. We're sorry that you were upset, instead of saying, we're sorry because we fucked up in X, Y, and Z, and we didn't deliver on this and that. That's an apology. But what we're seeing here in this developer update, and even what J. Allen Brack said way back when, during his BlizzCon 2019 speech, just does not feel like an apology, because they're really not.
We aspire to bring the world together in epic entertainment.
You brought the world together through a disastrous launch that brought the community together in protest against your release practices. So I guess in some way, mission accomplished.
We will do better going forward.
We will do better going forward, he said. And I know this apology was particularly referring to the whole Blitzchung situation and the way that was handled, but when the CEO says we'll do better going forward, it can be interpreted as in every facet, we'll do better with how we handle that kind of tournament ruling, and we'll do better as a company releasing games in a way that doesn't upset the community. They have not done that. They have not improved. With Warcraft 3 Reforged, it feels like Blizzard is showing their true colors, the corporate sort of nature that has seeped into the company.
But our actions are going to matter more than any of these words.
You're damn right, actions speak louder than words, and your actions through Warcraft 3 Reforged have spoken plenty about the current state of Blizzard and the priorities at the company right now. So yeah, those are the highlights of that speech, and it just came to mind as soon as I started reading Brack's words here, where he talks about how they have heard we did not achieve that bar, rather than saying, nope, flat out, we did not deliver, we could have done better. And then him saying we stand by our games, behind our games. Like, I get it, he's trying to say we're not going to give up and we're going to keep trying to improve this game, but this situation should not be happening at all. The more games continue to do this, the less tolerable this becomes, because this has happened just far too many times with far too many games knowingly, willfully releasing games that are in early access at best. And then it's one thing to release a remaster that completely botches its purpose. It's another thing to retroactively ruin the original version of that game. That aspect, that part is still so mind-boggling to me. You're stuck with this new inferior version until Blizzard, months or years down the line, fixes everything up and delivers on their original promises, if that even ends up happening. So, only time will tell. Until then, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on J. Allen Brack's latest statements and everything that's going on surrounding this unfortunate release, this unfortunate tarnishing of a PC classic. Drop a comment below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.